Another edition of Who Are You and What is Your Story? And today I have the privilege and honor to be speaking with relationship and uncoupling coach, Elle Ebizadeh, which, by the way, guys, I practiced a lot before I said that because I wanted to honor her. And that was so important. Elle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. So sweet of you. Yes, it's Elle Ebizadeh. You said it correctly. Thank you.
I know. It only took me 100 times, but whatever. So, Abizadeh, where does that last name come from?
I'm from Iran originally. I'm Persian.
Okay, awesome. And so are you in the States now or?
Yes, I moved to actually California, moved to London prior to coming to US in beginning of 1980. So I left end of 79, moved to London, and then eventually moved to US, California.
Gotcha. That is so brave. And I always like to highlight that for my community because so often I hear people immigrating from other countries. Obviously, Iran in the 70s, there were some challenges, but still to move and immerse yourself in an entirely different culture takes a lot of resilience and tenacity. So I commend you immensely.
Oh, thank you so much. I was lucky that my grandmother lived here in California. So I moved and lived with her for a while before my mother moved here.
Oh,
So
that's amazing. So, okay. I love that you shared that you were from Iran because that gives me a different perspective. I think so often where we come from lends to our story and how we show up in the world. So, can you talk to me a little bit about what it was like to move from Iran into the States and then to build a life here?
it was challenging because it wasn't kind of planned.
Yeah.
So my parents sent me out because they didn't know what's going to happen in the country at that time after the revolution. So it was just interesting to see how I interacted with people here. I went to high school here, the last year of high school. I finished my high school here, and it was challenging because my parents weren't here. I was in a totally different environment. Luckily, I spoke English because I learned English in Iran. So I didn't have that communication issue, but the cultural issues were there. Understanding how, I guess, people, teenage, young people interacted versus the way that I did in moving to this country. But it was a friendly interaction with the people, with the kids in school. And I I my English was good. My math was even kind of superior to the high school level. But the only thing that I had to concentrate on was government because I had uh, no understanding of that. So I only had like two or three classes and I graduated. So it was fast and not easy, but it was fast and it was done quickly. So.
Yeah. So now I haven't shared with the audience yet, but you, prior to really stepping into your passion and purpose as a relationship guide coach, and also uncoupling coach, which I love, you were an entrepreneur. Would you say that your experience moving from one country to another and having to navigate an entire new world and new um, ways of doing things lended to your ability to step into the crazy world of entrepreneurship? Because as a business owner, I can tell you it's crazy.
Yes. So I don't know. I guess I kind of followed my dad's footsteps. He was an entrepreneur. So in my late 20s, I mean, I worked since I was, I don't know, 20 or 18, like part-time jobs and stuff. But I always wanted to have my own business. So in my late 20s, I started a new company, and that's how I kind of went into that space of entrepreneurship. And I really loved it, and I still do. And it feels I had two companies that I put together from really not knowing anything about that industry. My last one was electronic waste recycling. Uh, and I had a couple of not couple, like many contract from the West Side cities, they call it in LA. So, and that was my passion. I Recycling is like they used to make fun of me because I always, even prior to recycling, that was a thing, which is now. Uh, I used to buy bottles and cans. I made sure that at the house everything was kind of recycled. And yes, my siblings made fun of me. But after that, when I started my company, it was just starting with the cell phone recycling, and then it's kind of I had around like 20, 30 locations in UCLA, so people can drop off their cell phones for recycling. That was in 2004. That's when it all kind of that recycling of electronics started.
Wow, that is so impressive.
Thank you.
Like, just from your passion to just recycle, you were able to build a business. So you go from a recycling business to relationship uncoupling coach. Talk to me about the jump.
So what happened was, when I sold my company, I was in I guess, a 10-year relationship. And then I looked at it, I said, you know what, there's something not working here. And then I took a class, Catherine Woodward Thomas. She's my coach. I got my certifications from her. It's conscious uncoupling and calling in the one. So I took a class about conscious uncoupling, and it was a weekend kind of a deal. So I did that, and then I realized, oh my God, now I understand what has happened in my relationship with him, with my partner. And then I said, okay, so then I went deep into it, read the book, took more classes, and then I realized, okay, this is my 2%, what I did wrong in this interaction. And I really saw that this is my calling. And I remember that even when I was a teenager, my friends will come to me about uh, issues about their boyfriends, or if their parents were getting a divorce and all. They were like, I was the one who could listen. So I'm apparently a good listener, have been. Um, and then it is actually now my passion to really be of service, to really help individuals who go to that space of not knowing where they are, what they want in that relationship, or and understanding that the steps that they took was unconscious a lot of times. Mine was unconscious. And then I help my clients to step by step understand who they are, what do they want from a relationship, and if this relationship that they're in, uh, is it working for them or not? And if it's not working, what part of it is there? That's 2%. It's very important. So when we, work through it, then they say, "Oh my God, yes, I understand what I did wrong."
Yeah.
Uh,
So I wanna add, there's a couple of questions I have from that. The first, when you took this weekend webinar, seminar, whatever, with your coach, Did you have an idea that you knew you were unhappy in your relationship? Did you have an idea of where that relationship was headed towards, or did you just kind of want to get information around why is this relationship feel hard all of a sudden, and what can I do to address it?
It started with what can I do to address it?
Yeah.
And then why is it why I'm not happy? And and then that's kind of where it started.
So you didn't really have an idea of where you were headed when you took this. You just kind of wanted to get some information, which I love because, knowledge is power, right? So then you go through this and you realize, like you just said, that you were operating from a place of unconsciousness. Can you elaborate for the community what that means? Because for some people, unconscious is foreign language to them, really.
Yes. So example is me today here. It's I really wanted the relationship to work. So I realized that I put my needs aside and only tended to his needs. And that's why at the end of the day, after like 10 years passes and I'm not happy because I couldn't even communicate what my needs are. I didn't even know what my needs. I mean, I really didn't sat down and say, okay, what is it that makes you happy? What is it that you need from this relationship, from yourself? I mean, I never asked that question from myself either. So it was a very deep dive into self-discovery to see exactly. That's why I said, oh, this is a 2% of me, my mistake, because I never told him what my needs are. And how do I expect somebody to uh, interact with me and give me what my needs are if they don't know what it is?
Absolutely. You're spot on. And I think too often in society, whether it's in relationships or whether it's interactions within a boss and employee, or even honestly within parents and children, we assume that the other person knows what's expected and then end up feeling resentful, anger, all of these emotions based on an assumption, but never having clearly communicated what our need was. And so I am really glad that you were able to first recognize that you weren't aware of what your needs were, and then you recognize that you had to make a change. I'm curious, for you, how was that process of starting to examine your needs and asking for them? Because after 10 years, I imagine that's pretty difficult. You get used to just tucking it away and keep it moving.
Yes, yeah, it was step by step. At one point, this is prior to the, I remember that the first time that I wanted to actually talk to him. So I said, oh, we need to talk. And he said, okay. So we sat down. I mean, this has been going on in my head for like a couple of days to have the courage to say that, oh, we need to talk. So, and imagine being successful in the recycling business, but not being able to have that conversation with my ex. So it was um, so I said to myself, I have to do this. I have to say what's inside of my heart. So we sat down and then it took the first few minutes and I tried to say what I wanted to say, but nothing came out. And then I went and I talked to him in in Farsi. So he listened to me, and then after a few minutes, when I was finished, he said, "You know that I didn't understand a word you said." I said, "I know, but that was my first step to actually verbalize what was in my heart for this many months and years. And then after that, it was just step by step that I could say what was really uh, in my head, in my mind, that I wanted to share. And
Yeah.
it wasn't just with him, it was with people around me that I would always say okay, and I do the job or do whatever it has to be done without expecting anybody to put a foot forward. So that was my part that I had to really look and see where did that came from and how am I gonna maneuver over that to have the relationship that is mutual, that I can, really speak my and talk from my heart.
Yeah. I think that's a really profound story in that for me personally, I was born with an open throat chakra, meaning I have never bit my tongue once. Now I didn't have tact, but I do recognize that so many people have pushed aside their needs or never been given permission to have their needs met
Yeah, yeah,
so that they don't know how to vocalize it. And it is an act of courage, just even attempting the conversation, even if you fall short the first, second, or third time, because even showing up is helping you establish your own sense of self-worth and, identify getting your needs met, right?
yeah,
And it's
yes.
interesting because I was just listening to a story from Malala today, talking about women in education. And again, I'm aware of it, but it's not something I'm familiar with, like viscerally. So I'm like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, thinking of what you just said, I'm like, wow, that must have been incredibly hard for you to do.
Yes, and I mean, when I work with my client, I see it's not just me. There's so many men and women out there that really don't allow themselves to kind of talk about what their needs are. They don't even sit down and kind of explore to see what their needs are. And it's a step-by-step exploration to
Yeah.
see, to get to that point. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So you recognize in this relationship it's no longer meeting your needs. Was there a part of you that felt guilty or badly about having these needs in the first place to then ask for them being met? Or did you kind of have enough of a sense of yourself to know that whatever you felt called to, you deserved in asking for?
So, it comes all from these limiting beliefs that I have, everybody has. Um, so no, I was always looking to see if I didn't know that I'm worthy of, I'm not good enough. There's like so many layers of that. And that's how I work with my clients. So a lot of people think that they're not pretty enough, they're not good enough, they have so much guilt from the past, something that has happened. And it mostly comes from the childhood. That's the
Oh, yeah.
time that, yeah. So I kind of explore with my clients and we go deep and see what was that incident or that uh, interaction that made you feel that you're not good enough.
Mm. Well, since you went there, I'm gonna go there. And so you did mention, and I know based
Yeah.
on imprinting of our subconscious, a lot of our conditions and habits are established in childhood. In your own journey of kind of like self discovery and healing, is there a moment where you recognize that, despite our parents, our grandparents, whoever's best efforts, or teachers, that you were made to feel unworthy and had to unpack that story so that you could change your beliefs?
Yes. So it's get to a point to understand that for example, I'm not that 4-year-old anymore. So it just understanding that that was then and this is now, and uh, a woman of 50 years old cannot be in that space because I kind of carry my own self. And so there's an exercise that I do with my clients, and we go to the younger self and the adult self, and we go through that exercise and really have that adult self hold the younger self hand and tell her where she is today, and kind of bring her to this moment of now.
Yeah.
Uh, we call it it's a the third week of me working with the clients. We do this exercise, and sometimes it takes 2 sessions, sometimes only one, to bring that understanding that okay, we are not that 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 10-year-old anymore. And that was the time that it happened. And now today, as an adult, where you are today,
Yeah.
you are that powerful woman that can do anything that you want.
Yeah. It's interesting because I do a lot of similar work as you. I just don't happen to do it in the sphere of relationships. And I would say that using that visualization tool, that hand holding, that going back to that person and giving them permission to feel what they felt and probably didn't express it because we weren't allowed to as children, and then to honor, and let them know that in this moment we're safe. It does have profound effects, and in fact has helped me immensely in my own healing journey from my own childhood trauma. So I think
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
yeah.
So you're a relationship and uncoupling coach. So I imagine you help save relationships and you also help dismantle relationships.
Yes, it's called conscious uncoupling. So to be consciously in that I mean, I have worked with clients who, I mean, married for 20, 30 years. They still live together. They're exploring to see if they're gonna, uncouple. And they really want to do it consciously because of children who are involved. I have worked with clients who have been divorced for many years, but they still have that energy connected to that space of they're still not consciously uncoupled. So
Ooh, that's powerful. I think about my ex-husband's parents. The vitriol and the loathing and the energy that they impart on each other 25 years after they've been divorced. And in my head, I'm like, aren't you done suffering? Like, you suffered enough in the marriage. And yeah, I guess I didn't really think about the fact that, yes, some people would need to go back to that place in time and give them permission to let themselves release themselves from that experience.
yes, so we have this exercise we call soul to soul. So you don't have to really sit down and talk to that person, but you can like sit down, and I coach them how to, I mean, not what to say, they have to say it, but how to like kind of get to that space of imagining that person is there, if they feel safe and they can talk and say whatever it's on their mind. So they can just kind of finish that interaction that has been like embedded in their soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another one. And then I also work with them on how to yeah, consciously uncouple, and then how to really forgive themselves first and forgive the other person to get to that space of forgiveness. Because a lot of people hold on to that anger, that bitterness for years and years and years.
Oh yeah. They take it to their graves with them. And to me it's just wild because it's this suffering that you're holding on to for, because the other person doesn't know, they're not impacted, you know. It's interesting. My ex-husband, he it took him a long time to let go. And in my mind, I had released, and I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself? Like, we could be friends and happy and all this stuff, but we all have a journey, and I think we all are meant to be on the journey we're on to heal, grow, and expand. So how do you work with people? Do you work with couples? Do you work with individuals? Is it like a certain amount of time? What's your program look like?
I work one-on-one, and the conscious uncoupling program, it's a 5 session, actually 6, with the initial time that we meet. So we go through every week, and then I call it a heart work. It's like a homework I send them, and then they will explore, they really sit down and answer those questions, and then we meet every week for 6 weeks. And some people wanted to extend it. I have a couple of clients who, after that, then they want to meet once a week or every other week. We still have, sometimes it's when there's kids involved, it's a little bit more, takes more time
Yeah.
to, if they want to uncouple. And also work with clients who are calling in the one. They are actually opening, they would like to open their heart and bring that ideal partner to their life. So I work with them also. That's a 7-week program that I have. That it's a self-discovery to understand who you are, what you want, and then what kind of a relation, who is your ideal partner that you like to attract to your life. And
Yeah.
we go through that also.
So I'm curious. So I recognize that you kind of help people get clarity around who they are, what their needs are, how to hopefully ask for them, and then attract their person. Do you have Are you at all a student or aware of like manifestation? Do you use that, or is it more just getting clarity around what they're looking for?
Yes. So one of the exercises that I do with my clients, it's really getting inside and closing your eyes and see imagine that ideal person for you.
Yeah.
And what is can you see yourself holding hands, walking by the beach? What is that space that you like to be together, and the interactions that is ideal for you? So yeah, that's kind of I say miracles happens when you open your heart. So yes, it is the manifestation. And the first session that I have with any of my patients, we put together, I ask them, what is your intention? And I hold that intention for them all through the sessions and forever sometimes.
Awesome. So what's next for you, Elle? Where, you have this great coaching program. What do you see your entrepreneurial spirit diving into in the future?
I'm actually getting another certification before the end of the year in second week of December. It's called laser coaching. It's about half an hour of interaction, and that limited belief that it's always there has been for a lot of people. So I work with that with my client. So the goal is to I have actually put together a group coaching that is going to start the second week of January, called Love Mastery, Calling in the One Journey. And one of the part of that journey is the laser coaching to get rid of that limiting belief. It can be anything. For some people, there's like several of them. So my intention is to help people to really open themselves up, and uh, because I could see that I close my heart to love, and I would like to help whoever wants to open their heart and bring love back to their life. It can be, it needs work, but it can be done. I'm
Yeah.
100% because I have done it.
Yeah, and I think that's what I love most about your story is that you've done the work, and that to me is so profoundly important when somebody is looking for support or assistance, because you can recognize the pitfalls they'll run into, and you can recognize some of the difficulties that they're going to experience, because anytime we affect change in our lives is it's challenging. It takes, resilience, it takes courage and bravery, and so you being having gone through that can support them in a really meaningful and profound way. So thank you for doing the work on yourself.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, it's I love it. This is my passion. And I tell people I have a heart on the top here and I have the world map because I want this work to, whoever that comes to me from all over the world to kind of to be healed in a way that, it's everything is about relationships. Like one more thing I'm going to say. Well, I have a client that she about calling in the one. She wanted to call in her business partner because every time that she had a business partner coming, it didn't work out. So at the end of like a one session before we finished, she really opened herself up and she understood her interaction with her sister has made it difficult for her to actually open herself and really interact authentically with the people that she brings to her life as a business partner. Because of that interaction and some kind of money issues of the parents and all that, it's always there's something. And she was like amazed at the end. So, oh my God, I didn't know that I had to clean up my relationship with my sister. I said, yes, it's all about whoever is around you and in your kind of the early age that you have been. And then now it just kind of maps out the rest of your life unless you really dive deep and clean it out.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right in that, our entire human experience is about relationships, and it absolutely is critical that we examine those formative relationships and see where they served and where there were areas that created fear. Because at the end of the day, how we
Mhm.
operate, it's either from love or fear. And if we're not looking at the things that cause us fear, we close ourselves off from them, so that we don't experience that hurt again. And in doing so, we create the relationships that are kind of recycling the experience we had when we were young. So it makes sense that she was struggling with her business partners. So, what is one thing that you know today that maybe you didn't know a year ago that you know is helping you be the best version of Elle that you can possibly be?
That by being conscious and actually practicing it daily, that I can overcome and get to the space that I want to get as who I am today versus 10 years ago or 5 years ago, even I don't know, last year. So it's a continuous work. And that's why I'm getting another certification because I see that kind of limiting belief, whatever it is, that if there's something out there that I can learn and I can apply it to myself and help my clients with that, it's a step forward. And it's all about learning. My journey has been about learning and understanding myself and whoever comes to my life.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Thank you, Elle. And you're spot on in that I believe from doing this work since I was 14 years old that our path, our growth is we're meant as humans to expand and grow and learn. And it is an ongoing choice to remain conscious and do the work, because it is always going to be working. So I thank you for doing that, because the reality is you showing up in service to yourself and to your clients is truly showing up in service to the world. So I really appreciate you for that and for your time today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you and your time, of course.
Thank you. I will leave the information for you to reach out to Elle in the notes. Make sure that you reach out, see what she's about, and then if you're interested, she said she's got a community coming up in January. It's certainly worth a look if you know that you were struggling in any type of relationship and or looking to maybe leave your relationship. She might be the person for you. So reach out, guys. Until next time, thank you so very much for your continued support of the show and for all of the amazing people who show up every day for us. So
Thank you. And I do actually offer a complimentary 30-minute consultation. So if they want to explore and see how we can work together, I'll be happy to do that.
awesome. I love that. So I will add that link in there as well for anybody who's interested.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you for doing that.